Hey, welcome to my channel. This video, I'll be talking about, um, AI basically, but in general, basically how we've heard about ChatGPT, or in this case, GPT-3, or in this case, what you've heard, ChatGPT. But it's more of a case where, like, there's GPT-3, which is one big aspect. But the one thing that people are forgetting about is basically you also have the other aspect of what's it called? Um, was it generative AI? And now generative AI is basically a sort of a case where it converts text to speech, but in a natural selection that you can, to the point where you can copy any person's voice and generate that person's voice, like a Donald Trump or Elon Musk or whatever it may be, having few syllables that you can capture that they've had on public captured, and then doing generative AI basically and mimicking their things in that aspect. But it's also the case of like having generative AI to the point where like attaching it with GPT-3, it makes it much more robust at that point, to the point where like you'll have your own sort of voice assistant. Now it's a matter of, from generative AI as well too, is uh, voice recognition. So voice recognition to text, to the point where like as it incomes a voice, or any sound that comes into it, converting it to text, translating it into GPT-3 basically, and then outputting it out as generative AI at that point. That becomes a very powerful feature at that point. It's more of what you would say basically what Google Home is, as well as Amazon's Echo, as well as Cortana and all the other voice assistants out there, Siri as well too, like the voice assistants out there. But it's more of a case where it's doing voice to text, of course, and then doing the search, and then coming back out as generative AI. But in this case, this is more of a case where now you as an individual, there are not a lot more open source tool sets that are now out there, coming up to the point where you can actually combine the three and create your own voice assistant to do searches for you, but also create chatbots as well as customer service in a ways as well too. To the point where like you can create your sort of like your virtual assistant or virtual chatbot on your website or on your phone, have the person either type it in or speak it in for an answer, and then the person, the response can come back with a voice, or familiar voice, or whatever voice, at a level that becomes more robust for the person to understand. Um, if they can't see or whatever it may be, or they like to hear things. Also at the same time is also coming back in text as well too. It plays a powerful feature too, to be quite honest with generative AI, to the point where like if you can actually have the ability to get that voice AI aspect as well as GPT aspect together. I mean, this is all AI, of course, and each one is like they have their own nuances as well too. Um, it's going to be an interesting feature to see. I mean, there could be a lot of exploits as well, and now you've got also, of course, like deep fakes out there as well too. Whereas deep fakes is concerned is basically transposing someone's face, like a celebrity or something like that, onto something, and then pretty much text to voice at that point. That's becoming more and more. That's becoming more and more scary now. To the point like if there are signatures that can trace back that these were edited, okay, that makes sense. But if these signatures are sort of really good enough to the point where like they're not detectable, it becomes very hard to detect at them, and then you got problems at that point. Put it this way, it's like basically saying like Donald Trump, as an example. Someone going in, or actually, you know what? Never mind that. Let's go with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, perfect example. That's actually the perfect example. Someone could basically post up a video where they have his image, or video of him, like some clips basically that they captured, transcribe some voice of some text that you want, basically to the point of like saying, oh, Tesla is going to reduce um, uh, uh, the car prices down to, let's say, $10,000, or vice versa, or whatever it may be, to basically to the point like people can then at that point try to sort of manipulate um, stock markets at that point. I mean, like honestly, like it's yeah, it's like same thing, same like someone doing this with James Dimon, the head of Chase, J.P. Morgan Chase, or any other big institutions that are publicly traded. It's a case where like, or in that situation as well as the world leaders, it becomes very very dangerous, and also manipulative at that point as well too. I mean, honestly, if you can get a pointer like posting up a video, well, the other aspect is depending on like where these people post up their videos, what medium they use is another factor. Which I mean, you could trace it back to whatever it is. But at the same time, if people are posting, let's say on Twitter, sort of creating a fake. Actually, yeah, it can be done in that situation as too, as those like you as an individual, it's like pretending that you're recording someone, transposing the person that was there to the president, and then like then of course transcribing the text to voice in that voice, their voice mannerisms to the point where it's recorded in ways that you said, hey, you recorded them like in secret or something like that. Boom, or two, you have quote unquote voice recordings as well too. It becomes dangerous, but it also can be fun at the same time as well too. But yes, very very dangerous. Um, I don't know what all the safeguards are in place for this. I mean, usually some of the stuff they have signatures in place for that, so that you can actually determine if these are actually fake or not. But nowadays, it's becoming very more complex. That you can sort of minimize the signature in ways, or more of sort of create a realistic signature, as though like this was actually the person that actually said it. It's like a footprint, basically. That signature footprint, basically, just minimizing it as much as you possibly can, to showing that it's identifiable to you, but it's as though it was fake, but making it those seems that it's real. Um, and the fact that a lot of people, AI is now pretty big again, and now it's to the point where like there are a lot more open source toolkits and tool sets out there. Um, it'll be interesting to see what will be done as a result of this. And mind you, like GPT-3 from OpenAI, like yeah, they have it, but in reality, like people can determine how they did it. It's just a matter of pretty much coming up in the open source version of it at that point. I mean, Lambda has that aspect as well too, but yeah, there's so many different ways about it. But yeah, this is a truly a point where like if you had asked me 5, 6, no, not 5, if you had asked me maybe 2.5 years ago, um, could something of this nature like GPT-3, generative AI, as well as deepfakes become more and more um, easily usable within the next 2 to 3 years per our phones? I would have said no. 3 years ago, sorry, 3 years ago, like in 2018 or 2019. But reality, it's becoming so more robust now that, and the phones are becoming so powerful as well too, just as powerful as laptops from like 7 years ago. Um, it's to the point where like nowadays you can actually do a lot of stuff on your phone as well too. And if you have the software to do this and like do some AI to move backgrounds or transpose or layer backgrounds as well too, it can be done at that point as well too, which is a scary thought to be quite honest. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Also, please subscribe to my channel. Um, and but yeah, let me know your thoughts and leave your comments in the comment section, and I will try to. I do read them when I get notified, and I do try to respond to all of them as best as I possibly can when I can. But with that, yeah, subscribe and please leave some comments. Until next time, unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed.